Welcome, everyone, to today's media session for your Rockford IceHogs as the Hogs now get set to take on Grand Rapids once again to complete a three-game mini-series on Tuesday and then host the Iowa Wild on Friday and Saturday. And a nice salute to the frontline and healthcare heroes. Joined by head coach Derek King. To start things off, if you wish to ask head coach Derek King a question, please use that raise your hand feature. And Coach King will lobby into this one. A thrilling victory the other night against the Griffins in Grand Rapids. Overtime victory. Great performances. Matt Tompkins, the 42 saves. Dylan McLaughlin, a goal and an assist. Mate Halupa jumping in for a power play goal for your IceHogs. That's a lot of positivity coming in. How do you have that carry over into practice today and then a repeat performance going into tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, real good performance, especially Matty Tompkins, outstanding. It was good to see Laffer back in the lineup and take advantage of it. Hopefully he just continues to take advantage of it as we keep going here. But yeah, it's got to be positive. We got to feel good about ourselves. That's a really good hockey team that we played. They put some pressure on us right off the bat. We weathered the storm. We got our goaltending, and our specialty teams were real good. So, I mean, usually that'll win you hockey games, and it did that thing.
Well, I know you don't want to give or have your goaltender face 43 shots every time you go out there, but for this Grand Rapids Griffins bunch, you've complimented them a lot. They're a veteran team. How do you limit things defensively moving into tomorrow, knowing that they're a team that they are very gifted offensively?
Yeah, well, the big thing is we got to keep the puck as long as we can. I think there's times when we do finally get out of our zone and we get a little offense. We're in the offensive zone for a bit, but then we lose the puck. We're losing some battles, which allows them to transition quick, and they're good at that. If we limit our turnovers in the offensive zone and hold on to pucks a little longer, be patient, that'll limit their time and with the puck and give us a better chance.
You mentioned Dylan McLaughlin coming back in the lineup for the first time in a couple of games. A couple other players doing likewise in that last contest against Grand Rapids. As a coaching staff, how nice is it for you to know that you can put players in that might not have played in a game in a little bit and be able to contribute and just continue to fit right in?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, in a perfect world, we'd only have a couple extra forwards and maybe a couple extra D, but it's not the perfect world right now. So we're trying to do our best of getting guys in for games, but I feel very comfortable with whoever we put in is going to give us something.
All right, turning it over to everyone joining us today. Brandon Kane, your line is active.
Derek, I know you've put an emphasis on that your team is very young and a bit on the smaller side against Grand Rapids, but one of those guys that differs from that is Mackenzie Entwistle. How has he played these last, 4 or 5 game stretch here?
I think Mackers, conditioning was a big part of just getting back into game shape and, after the COVID incident. I think it just drained on them, but I think as every practice, every game is just better and better. He's a big body that, he's got to play a big body way, like a big player way. So he's doing a much better job of that. And he's creating some offense while doing that. So he's been real good. He's only just going to keep getting better and better with the ice time he's getting.
And then it's been about a month since Anton was on the injury list with a broken thumb. How's he progressing, and do you expect to see him back before this month?
He's doing fine. I think he's just, being comfortable with the splint on his hand, but he's been practicing with us now and shooting pucks, stick handling, passing pucks. So I'm hopefully when I leave this, the interviews here, media day, I will go and talk to DJ, our trainer, and find out if he's ready to play Tuesday or not. And if he is, I'm going to put him in.
Thanks.
Scott Lever, your line is active.
Yeah, Coach, as you mentioned, Tompkins there at the top, obviously very encouraging couple games for him, the last couple games out. Can you just expand a little bit on your observations of what you liked from his performance the last couple of games? And maybe have you noticed, since he's come back from the taxi squad, maybe a little bit different attitude from him, or anything has changed with him since he's come back?
Well, I think his game's to the point where I don't hide my head in my game card and turn it every time there's a shot. He looks just real comfortable. I think, first game, maybe a little shaky, hadn't played in a while, which is fair. And then I like the players, right? It takes time to get back into the the groove of playing hockey again, especially when you've been off for almost a year. And I think he's back into his groove where he should be. He's played outstanding since coming back from the taxi squad. And sometimes going up there, getting away from how things were going with him here, I think was a good thing for him. Just to, kind of take a deep breath and then work on his game up top. And then when he came back, obviously he's proven that little stint up with the taxi squad has paid off for him.
And when you play a team like Grand Rapids 3 games in a row, how much, cat and mouse action is going on? How much adjusting game to game between the three, or is it just kind of a carbon copy every time you go out there?
Well, we know how they play. The biggest thing, and I've said it's from even when I was an assistant here and then became the head, it's just we got to worry about us, how we need to play. And if we do that, everything will take care of itself. And there's times during the game that we don't play the way we should play, and it's obvious by the time they spend in our zone. So again, we know how good of a team they are, what we need to do to compete. We need goaltending, we need our special teams to do well, and then we need to compete every shift. And if we do that, we have an opportunity to win. If not, we will win.
Joey, let me slip in one more about Grand Rapids. So
Yeah.
we've played them 4 times, and every time the road team has won so far. Does that kind of speak to the COVID no spectators in the stands, that the home ice advantage really isn't that big of a deal this year as it normally would be?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they had a few fans in there last time, but sometimes you go into buildings, especially like Grand Rapids. I played there, and I know how the fans can really light that place up and really carry your team for you. They can help out a little bit, especially with the motivation part, getting guys revved up before a game. So that's a good building for that. So it's probably a good thing there's no fans. A little quietness is good for us, and we'll hopefully take advantage of that again come tomorrow.
Jay Taft, your line is active.
Coach, on that, just to carry over on that note, has there been any talk of fans returning for any of your home games this season?
I haven't heard a thing.
I know it's
it'll just be based on. I think they'll probably just in Illinois. We'll wait to see if the Hawks get fans first, and then it'll just snowball down to us. But I haven't heard a thing about fans. We just more and more cardboard cutouts are going up, so just even good to have that something to look at in the distance, right? Some fans, and there's nobody yelling at me about the power play or get these guys going, right?
Right. In the beginning of this season, you guys lost a bunch of one goal games, seemed to be kind of getting you early on. And now I think all of your wins, especially lately, you've been able to pull out those tight games, those 1 goal victories. Is there a difference? Is that it's usually a mindset thing, right?
Yeah. Well, I you know what? I think the big thing is too with this team, we're not going to throw up 5 or 6 goals every night. We gotta play a real good defensive game and be hard to play against that way. It's not always perfect for us, but the guys don't quit; they battle. And I think the one big positive too is our goaltending. It's kind of found its way now where it has been. Even last year, Delia and Langs and these guys were kicking real good, and it gave us an opportunity. And like I say, going into the third period, in between periods, I'm always asking the goalies just to give us a chance, and they've been doing a great job with that, which gives us a little hold on a 2-1 game, or even if it's 1-1, we can.
Greg Boyson, your line is active.
All right, thanks, Coach. It hasn't really been much of a factor yet, but we're going to start seeing it more often now. With the same day travel with the COVID, you guys are doing your Grand Rapids trips, and I think Iowa as well, same day. Do you think that's going to have an adverse effect? It didn't really seem to affect you guys the other night, at least on the scoreboard, score-wise. But
Yeah.
Do you see that being an issue going forward?
Well, I think it's an issue if you play again the next night at home, because we get in at 3-4 in the morning from that game. That's when I think the effect will come in. that's when it's going to hurt us. But as long as we have a couple days in between next game, I think it's fine. It's not obviously ideal. We'd like to go in the night before, get some rest, get up and get a morning skate, but every team's doing it. We just, we just have to be ready to and prepare ourselves for when we get off that bus. We need to get ready. Preparation's a little different, right? So, so far it's been good, but in the long run, I think if we do get into back-to-back games with that kind of travel, it's going to affect us.
Thank you.
And then wrapping us up, Brandon Kane, your line is active.
Derek, you mentioned the goaltenders there. So Ivan practicing with you guys, and what's his status for potentially starting here soon?
Yeah, he looks good. He's been practicing with us. And again, it's obviously this is Tomer's time. He's earned it, and we're going to ride him as long as we can. We'll get those other guys in when the time is right, and I'm sure we'll get him in too for a game. He just needs to work on his game here and get back into that playing condition and be ready to go. I think eventually, probably sooner than later, we'll see both of them, Kale back in and Ivan back in. So we'll see.